everyone, how's it going? This is Chris again with the virtual voice here again with my friend Fernanda. How you doing, Fernanda?
I'm good, thank you. And how are you, Chris, today?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. Today we have a topic that is important to us. It may not be, the sexiest topic to talk about, but is definitely important. And you'll understand why as we go through. And so today, what are we talking about?
So today we're talking about why DISC assessment is important.
Yeah, the DISC assessment is something that I learned actually from Steve Rosenberg and Pete Newbig. And it's something that we implemented from day one in our companies when we started them. So first started with Pacific Rim, and then we went into Elevation, and we do a DISC profile on everyone who joins our team, including myself, right? So what does a DISC profile do? It increases your self-awareness and understanding of your communication preferences. It shows you how to respond to a conflict. It helps you identify what keeps you motivated. You understand yourself a little bit more to know what stresses you out. And then also like, how do you approach problems? And then also for discovering how do you make decisions? What's the best method you use? So yeah, go ahead, Fernanda.
Okay, so the definition of DISC is a personal assessment tool used by more than 1 million people every year to help improve teamwork, communication, and productivity in the workplace.
Yeah, so the DISC, you might be wondering, what does DISC mean? Well, DISC is just an acronym, right? So acronym meaning D is for dominance, I is for influence, S is for steadiness, and C is for consciousness. And Fernando will describe what each one means.
Okay, so for example, if you have people with D personalities, they tend to be confident and place an emphasis on accomplishing bottom line results. So yeah, D, as Chris mentioned, is dominance. Then we have the people with I personalities tend to be more open and place emphasis on relationships and influencing or persuading others. So that could be for sales. A person with I, it's really good for sales.
Exactly.
And people with S personalities that Chris said steadiness tend to be dependable and place the emphasis on cooperation and sincerity.
Yeah.
And the last one that we have, people with C personalities tend to place the emphasis on quality, accuracy, expertise, and competency. So yeah, it's really good. We were mentioning, for example, C is for maybe for someone in accounting.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, someone with a C is very detailed. Someone with an S is kind of someone who wants people to get along well. I is your salesperson, as Fernanda says, and D is kind of like bottom line, let's get to the point, direct kind of person. So you can take the assessment and you can be, for example, I'm very low in I, and so is Fernanda. I'm higher in the S, and my second one is C. So I'm an SC. And Fernanda, do you remember yours?
I think it's DC.
No,
but
it's a CS.
No?
It's a
really?
CS. Yeah. CS. And the reason why I know this well is because so Fernanda started off as my assistant. And as my assistant, I needed someone who's very detailed oriented. Fernanda is a very high C. Your next one is S. And if I remember correctly, third one is D and I, but those are very like down low, but you're very high CS. And so that was very important. And we'll discuss why understanding your people's DISC profile is important later on as we get through this. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about how the DISC profile could help your organization.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, you know me better than I do, Chris. You're like, I know what Fernanda is. So yeah. But okay, so some benefits that we have. The first one is better onboarding. And I think you mentioned that it's really good. We do that with every person that we hire on the team. Just like, hey, you need to complete your DISC profile.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, we try to do that. Well, we don't try to do that. We do that during the interview process. So essentially what you want before you start hiring anybody, first of all, you come up with an org chart, and you have an org chart. Even if the org chart is, operations, marketing, finance, and HR, and your name is in all of them, that's fine. You have an org chart, get that done. next thing you want to do for each position in your org chart, you have a disc profile. First, you have the job description or position description, along with responsibilities and all that stuff. But you also want to have a disc profile in there and KPIs, but that's a different show. Put the disc profile in there. For example, finance. You kind of want someone who is a C in finance because it's very detail oriented. In sales, you probably want someone who's an I, like Fernando was saying, right? So you want to identify what profiles are for each person, and then you throw out your job announcement, and you say, okay, here's a job, here are the responsibilities. You might even say the ideal disc profile is this disc profile. And then as people start applying, you say, hey, thanks for applying. Please do the disc assessment. So for example, if you're hiring for someone who's in the finance department and they're a very high I and a very low C, that's probably not the best candidate, even if their resume looks good and looks like they can do accounting. But obviously, you still want to talk to them and get a feel of them and check references and stuff. But the disc profile will help you identify, who they really are. And the same thing, if you're hiring for a salesperson and they're a low I, they might struggle a little bit with the sales. So that's, as far as the organization and onboarding personnel, that's why the disc profile or disc assessment is extremely important.
Yeah. So let's go to the second one, team building tools.
Yeah. So for me, speaking from my perspective as the leader of the company, understanding my people's disc profile or knowing their disc profile allows me to know how to show up for them, right? So for example, when we lead, we lead a team, but the team is full of individuals, and it's on the leader to identify, like, okay, this person's an introvert, so I know how to interact with them in this way. This person is very outgoing, so I'm going to approach them in this way. This person doesn't like conflict, so we're going to approach it this way. So understanding the disc profile of your people is extremely important for the leader, so you know how to interact with them. But I wouldn't say, like I always say, everyone is leader, right? So it'd be good for some people's disc profile just because you're in my my email and stuff. So whatever I know,
Yeah.
But I'm sure that probably helps you out as it comes to identifying how you can interact with other people on the team.
Yeah, totally. And I think it also helped, as you said, for example, you're not going to put two dominant people together, it's going
Yeah.
to, maybe that's going to be difficult. So yeah, I didn't remember my desk profile, but I remember the team desk profile. And
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
I don't know, just seeing that, and it helps you understand more, like how they're feeling also in the position. Like we've got people that we got this guy on the team, and he's a really people person. He likes talking. He likes like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, so I like calling the persons, and I don't know, you see that makes him happy. You
Yeah.
can also identify those things, and also it helps with relationships with your
Yep.
team. It's just like, for
Exactly.
example, I don't know, as you mentioned, you're not going to approach a person that is an introvert, like in a way that you're going to cause them maybe to get stressed or to
Yep.
get in
Exactly.
conflict. So yeah, I think it's pretty important just for you to do it. And even if you already have the team, maybe make them do this profile. That way you're going to know, like, oh, okay, so I know how they really are,
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of segues into the next one.
Yeah, so the next one is motivational tools.
Yeah, and you're kind of touching on that too. Is like how to best respond to somebody or interact with them to get the best out of them, right?
Yeah.
So what what you and I were talking about is we use DISC to help us identify what kind of training we should do. And we listen to the team and we understand, the areas where, like, okay, maybe we should collectively as a team focus on this for training this month, because then we seem like we're kind of struggling in this area. So the DISC profile helps identify at times what we should be training on. Can you think of anything else?
So yeah, I think just that for the training, I
Mhm.
think it's really good. I don't know. It helped me. Like for example, I have this profile from the team on my folder. So
Yeah.
like when I was doing, I think it was 2 trainings ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking at the this profile and seeing like, okay,
That's
so all
good.
the team what they're lacking of, okay. So
Yeah.
I think you're going to see sometimes a pattern and you're
Mhm.
going to be like, okay, this is going to be a good training,
Yeah.
and also for the goals, I think it's very helpful. You're not going to put uh I don't know, a goal of talking to a lot of people or calling a lot
Yeah.
of clients to a person that they're really low it's not going
Mhm.
to be, I don't know, approachable for that person. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it, just on the motivational tools
Yeah, exactly.
to
So goals and training, disc profile definitely helps you come up with those that fits the individual better rather than just the team in general. Just to kind of recap, I would say, the biggest thing that I took away when I was learning this from Steve and Pete was, first of all, you have a business, great, get an org chart, get that situated, and understand the positions you need to have in your company. You get an org chart, you get positions. Positions, you have position descriptions. Within those position descriptions, you need to have a disc profile for each position. And then you have all the jobs and responsibilities in there, and you have KPIs. So that way, like we're talking about goals, right? What are the goals for the I in sales? What's the goals for the C in accounting, right? So you come up with all those things. Then you do your job announcement, get your applicants coming in, and you say, thanks for your application. Please fill out this disc assessment. They do the disc assessment, and then you can see, okay, they could be a match for what we want to do. So that's big on our team. It always will be a big thing on our team.
yeah
I've gotten better in understanding and recognizing disc profiles a little bit more. So much so that I'm able to explain it to people on our team, when they come on and they're like, oh, I've never taken this before. I say, oh, let me explain what it means. And then a lot of times, like even for myself, I'm looking at the results. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That is who I am, right? And then sometimes I can see, for example, like you and I are introverts. So that means you and I, our eyes are very low. But
yeah
when we're in a position where we have to act in a way that, an I would be, right? Like if we have to step in a position that is typically filled by an I, that causes you and me a lot of stress and it drains our energy because we're acting out of our normal um, personality profile. Does that make
yeah
sense?
yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense totally. And yeah, as you said, it helps you understand more about yourself, because I
Yeah.
remember that you told me like, hey Fernanda, I understand your this profile, and you started telling me like all these things about me. I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm an
Yeah.
introvert and I don't like the social situations that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it helps you. And also in another situation that it helped, like you were looking just to not, well, not to replace me, but you were looking you were looking just like to
To
for another
backfill your
assistant.
position
Yeah,
because
backfill my position.
you have a new position. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not replacement, but what you said, Chris.
Exactly.
So yeah, I remember we were looking for someone, and when this
Hmm.
person on the team, you were like, hey, I saw her this profile. It's just like it's kind of the same as yours, so
Yep.
it's going to work. We were pretty happy about it. So that
Hmm.
way we knew that that was the right person,
Yep. Hmm.
like we already know this team person. It's just it's really good, like
Yeah.
pretty organized and everything. But just like
Right.
saying that this profile is what made the difference.
Yeah. You're
No.
right. Yeah. Because we both love this person.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, this person would be great in this position. But, she was in a different role. And there's just a lot of different things. We're like, well, we don't want to pull her away from that. Um, but then, as we kind of looked at other applicants that came in, we're like, it's like if we're going to backfill Fernanda's position, they have to at least be as good as Fernanda. I mean, like they can't, like it can't go backwards here. Fernanda, there's some big shoes to fill. So, but then we looked at her disc profile, and her disc profile was almost identical to yours, right? And that's
Yeah.
like what you're saying. That's what sold us. Like, oh, okay, you know what? We love her. She's great. We all have a great relationship with her already. She knows both of our companies really well, and her disc profile fits perfectly. So no,
Yeah.
she's the one. Obviously, if she agreed to it, which she did, but yeah, that's one thing where the disc profile really helped us out. And the other thing for me personally, I always appreciate the details, and I love detail stuff. But when I have to get into conversations about details, I get frustrated,
Yeah.
right? You probably notice, like, during meetings when people start getting detailed conversations going on, I, I kind of wander off a little bit, pick up my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll check out my messages real quick, right? That's maybe
Yeah.
not the best leadership quality I have, but I just get frustrated with the details, right? And a lot of times I would get mad at myself because of it. But I realized after looking at disc assessment, like, okay, well, that's who I am. I got to accept that. But then at the same time, I have to say, okay, how can I balance that out? And the way I can do that is through an assistant who is a high C. And so, when you were doing it, and then now our new one, Isamar, um, you two kind of jumped in and just like, okay, Chris, you're a mess. Let me clean up your, let me clean up your mess here, right?
It was nice. It was really nice.
Yeah. So, but that helped the disc assessment really helped me understand me, and understand the other part is like what we were talking about earlier is like, just like you, when I go to social environments, I kind of clam up a little bit, or if I'm in a position where I have to talk a lot and talk to people a lot in a social area, I just get tired and drained, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I just want to go to bed, and a lot of times people can look at that as a negative thing, like, oh wow, um, you're not really social, you got a problem, right? But the reality is that, hey, you know what, I'm not that, and it drains me. And so I was able to give myself a little more grace, understanding like I can't just be ignoring people all the time. I still need to be social, but I also understand why I get drained and tired from it too,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, those are just some things that where how the disc assessment has really helped us out as a team, helped us identify very important people to fill some very important roles in our team, and also like for just self-reflection, understanding who I am and how I can understand myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to leave the link for the disc assessment if you want to do it for your team on the description box.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can go and check it out there. So do you
Yep.
have anything else, Chris?
Yeah, just if you have any questions about the disc profile, we've learned a lot. I can't say we're experts on it, but we definitely use it. We think it's very important, so much so we won't hire unless we have a disc profile on somebody.
Yeah.
But if you have any questions or whatever, just reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you everyone for being in this episode, and yeah, stay virtual.
Hey everyone, Steve Rosenberg. We're here in Florida with palm trees, beaches, sunshine. You do not want to miss my Business Mansion Mastermind, October 12th through the 14th in Houston, Texas. I'm going to show you how to take your business to the next level, and I'm bringing in some of the top people in the business world. I'm talking Brad Lee, the Iron Cowboy, Dr. Kevin Elko, and Errol Allen, all to help you reshape your business and your mindset in 3 days, followed by unlimited coaching after that. Go to bizmansion.com and I'll see you in Houston.